What is up, guys, and of course welcome back to the channel. In this video we are wrapping up all of our physical stuff that we've been doing over the last few weeks. We are going to be going into what it takes to have a proper recovery after you've taken the court. Let's get into it. So I actually just got done with a training session of my own. I was working with two of my high performance kids, so I'm actually showing you what I would do after having one of my own intense sessions. This is going to be what's usually done with me, and everything that we do, I'll give you the reps and the length that you're going to do things in order to scale it down to whatever you feel like the level is appropriate for you. But what I'm doing is what you would see a lot of college and professional players do. That way you can kind of get the idea of where you fall in that scale. So the first thing we're going to do, having played for about 2 hours now, is we're going to go into some deep stretching, but with a slight change in the way you might think about doing it. So because I play a primarily arm dominant sport, the first thing I like to do is do my shoulders, chest, and back all in one few set of series of exercises. Worst thing we're going to do is you're just going to put yourself up against a wall and straighten out your arm as high as you can. And all you're going to do is go into a deep hang. And as I said, we're going for deep stretches, but what you want to do is go really far into it, hold for a few seconds, and then allow the muscle to relax a little bit. Like I was saying before, with certain stretches, I don't like to do deep holds and just stay there indefinitely. I like to go in and out of those ranges. That way you allow the body a chance to rest and a chance to kind of relax before going in. What you'll find when you do these type of stretches, no matter what the muscle group is by the end of doing 5 to 8 sets of this, you have a way deeper stretch than the first one that you did. So you would start maybe only getting about this far, but after going in, holding it for a few, you might be able to get your body into a position where you're really able to stretch super far, but that's not going to happen the first time. So you want to kind of let your body go to a position where you feel the most tension and kind of just stay there for a bit and then allow the body to relax. As you heard me say, my numbers for my stretches are usually 5 to 8, and I'll hold each stretch for about 10 seconds or so before allowing my body to relax. So then I would switch to this arm here, again, getting a nice high reach. And as you can see, the farthest I can go right now is only about right here. But then, after holding it for a little bit, coming up, each time I go down, I'm able to go just a little bit further without any real discomfort hitting me. And then by the end of doing 5 to 8 of these, I would have my body pretty close to the wall if I was on a wall. The reason why I like to use this bar is that actually allows me to put my head past it. So if I was up against the wall, I would only really be able to go as far as I could reach the wall, but with a bar, that allows me to really stretch in beyond that spot. So this is one of the first ones, but use that methodology with all of the stretches that you do when you're in your recovery. You want to hold the stretch for about 8 to 10 seconds, but you want to go in and out of it to allow your body to relax and then go further into the stretch each time. So the next series of exercises, I'm not going to go through that deep explanation. I just want you to do the same thing that we did for that first one with everything. So this one opens up the chest and stretches the bicep as well. Again, go in for a little bit, get the stretch going, hold it, and then relax and release your body before going into it again. With this one though, I like to go up a little bit each time, which targets a different part of the upper shoulder and the chest before I relax. And once you find the spot that's usually the tightest, you might want to just rock in that spot for a little bit and then continue on to your next exercise. So like I said, no deep explanation. Do this one on both arms. And again, hold each one for 8 to 10 seconds. And you want to do that for 5 to 8 rounds. Switching into the back of the shoulder, you want to use, this is when you're really going to benefit from having a bar just because of the angle that you're going to use. But you want to reach your arm past the bar and then turn away from it. Your arm is going to press up against your chest, which is going to make it so that you can't really fold around because you have to keep your elbow straight. You're just going to try to rotate away from where your arm is planted, and you'll feel a nice stretch going all the way through here. Hold it for a few, then relax. This one, you're not going to really be able to go super deep into it like the other ones are because obviously your body is an obstacle. But then after doing a couple reps, you would switch to the other side. And as you can see, my chest is kind of in my way. So I'm not going to be able to go very far, but I can still feel that stretch along the back of the shoulder and the deltoid all the way across. So that's what I would do for my chest, my back, and my shoulders. Now let's get on to the lower body. So with the lower body, the first thing I would like to do is get into a wide stance. So stepping away from the camera. Wide stance, not meaning that you're doing a split, but wide enough that you feel a little bit of stretch on the inside of the legs. From there, all I do is I'll just keep my arms crossed and just allow myself to kind of stretch along the side here. You'll feel a stretch that kind of goes along the IT band on the outside, and then shift and go back the other way. You can work both of these stretches at the same time. You don't really have to go one side predominantly because you're still kind of following the rules of allowing one side to relax before going into it. Second thing that I'll do is, and this is super important for not hurting yourself, you want to maintain a curve in the lower back when you do a forward stretch, but still keep the legs stretched out. Again, cross the arms and allow yourself to hang. You can reach down and touch the floor, but I always feel like once my arms touch the floor, I kind of start resisting against it. So I'll just keep my arms folded and allow myself to kind of sink into a low stretch, come back up, rock backwards and try to push the hips forward, which opens up all of the inner parts of the thigh as well as the back, and then go back in again. Once you've gotten into this a few times, I tend to rock back and forth, which will basically make me stretch out one hamstring at a time. And again, not complicated, but you can definitely feel it as you go through. Every time I rock to my left, I can feel a quick stretch all the way through. Every time I rock to my right, I can feel a quick stretch all the way through. So I'm kind of engaging and stretching all those different muscles at the same time. Next exercise that I would do would be to find something to press against and then keep my heel up. And as I press against a wall or a bar or something like that, I kind of push my heel down into the floor and then actively resist against it to push myself back up. So you're working the calf while stretching it. So I would push myself against the wall until I sit down here, hold for about 5 to 8 seconds, and then push against the wall and push myself back up. Now, I didn't feel like changing the camera, but I'm sure your imagination works and you can think of what it would be like if I was pushing against the wall. And then I would just switch my hands and switch my feet and do the same thing, push against it until I stretch it and my heel is flat on the floor, and then push against that resistance to get that calf engaged. So I've already hit the hamstrings, I've hit my lower back, I've hit my calves. The only thing to really hit left is the quad area and the inner thigh for just opening things up to allow you to kind of relax. So with this next exercise, you want to grab something for support if you need to, but all you do is you bring your leg up into a cross leg position like so, and then you slowly, while holding your ankle, sit down and back. You'll feel a stretch along all of your glute and on the outside of the leg that's bent. And then as you sit further in it, you want to kind of lean your body forward. So if you look at it from the side, I'm not just bending my knee and staying in this position. I'm sitting back and then leaning forward. The lower I go, the more I go forward. And that stretches all that out. Once you're in that position, what you want to also do is push the knee away. So I'm in this position, I kind of just push this knee here, which opens up the inside of the leg each time. So you lean forward, you stretch the back, you push away, you stretch the inside. You kind of alternate between one and the other until you've gotten your 5 to 8. And again, I like to hold each one of these for about 5 to 8 seconds because I'm balancing, and it can kind of become uncomfortable with your knee pushing into the side of your ankle. And then you would just switch sides, do the same thing. Sit back, like my left side is way tighter than my right, so I'm actually gonna hold this a little longer and then kind of ease my way into it. Once I'm in a good position, I just go from pushing the hip down to sitting and leaning forward back. The last thing I recommend is in 3 parts. You want to get yourself some type of inactive cardio just to kind of let the body relax after you've gone through those stretches. So I would walk on the treadmill for about 5 to 8 minutes, which is not by any means super physically taxing, usually on like a 1 to 2% incline. So I'm still kind of stretching out and engaging the legs the whole way through. After that, if you have access to it, I recommend going into a sauna and kind of heating the body up and then finishing off with a warm shower that gradually gets cooler. Some people will like to jump into a cold pool or an ice bath if they have access to it. You can do that. That just was never one of the things that agreed with my body. My body would always kind of go into a little shock with it. So what I recommend doing is kind of gradually cooling and heating up your body. So I actually have a sauna at the facility that I train at. So what I'll do is I'll alternate back and forth between about 10 minutes in the sauna and then showering from warm to cool, and then going into the sauna again. And I'll do that 3 times. Most people don't have time for all that, but if you do take your recovery seriously, I recommend getting some variation of that. If you're gonna go take a shower, just take a shower that's hot and work on changing the temperature back and forth between a hot shower and a cool shower, a hot shower and a cool shower. It'll do the same thing. I just feel like saunas are more relaxing. But that's going to wrap up this whole video, guys. All I want you to do is just make sure you get out and figure out the most productive way for you to be active in your recovery, because recovery is the thing that says whether you're going to get on the court again or not. Some people, they just go from training session to training session to training session, and then they don't understand why it feels like physically they run into a wall when it comes to not being able to outperform what they've been doing. And many times it's because they're cutting their recovery short and not giving it the respect it deserves. So I hope you felt like this series was helpful or reliable, or at least you got a little bit of value out of it. If you know anybody that would benefit from these things or this whole series, please send it off to them. We've got a lot of things that we're working on in the next coming weeks. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one.